Good morning. Thank you for coming. I think it was in March. We stood outside and we asked people for help in this horrific, brutal murder of Jarius Cook. On March the 19th, during the course of a robbery, Jarius was shot multiple times and then they set him on fire. We really didn't have a lot to go on, and I want to tell you that we're announcing the arrest of 3 individuals today, but this investigation is far from over. There was a lot of great police work done here. There was a lot of great legal work done with the state attorney's office. And we're here to announce the indictment of 3 people for the murder of Jarius. But this investigation is far from over. We're still seeking to bring other people to justice. This was absolutely a senseless, horrific murder of a young man who had so much of his life ahead of us. His dad's here today with us, JR. He's behind me. His grandmom and his aunt are also here. So with that, I would like to turn it over to the state attorney's office. They did a great job. They were with us lockstep through this entire investigation and then presented it before the grand jury. So RJ Larizza, our state attorney. RJ.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning, folks. Yesterday, or actually the day before yesterday, we convened the Volusia County Grand Jury. We have actually now convened grand juries in all 4 counties. It's been a year because of COVID that we have not been able to convene grand juries. So we convened a grand jury, we selected the grand jury on Tuesday, and actually had 8 indictments come down with the Volusia County Grand Jury. They did an excellent job helping protect you and your families. I can tell you that we indicted Grimes, Lane, and Sanders for the robbery and murder of Jarius Cook. And I can tell you that it was a very brutal and violent homicide. We indicted them as well for the robbery with the firearm. 2 of them were in jail already on attempted murder charges in a separate case that occurred after the homicide occurred. And it's very disturbing because these folks are very young. One of the individuals is charged with first-degree murder and armed robbery, 17 years old. The female is 18. And the oldest, I believe, is 23 years of age. Not to mention the life cut short of Jarius by this brutal and violent crime. I'd just like to say that it's important for communities to come together. The Sheriff's Office and the State Attorney's Office have a great partnership. Sheriff Chitwood does a phenomenal job. The quality of the Sheriff's Office is beyond reproach. We're proud to work with them. And we want to work with communities like this one because we need to find a way to stop this gun violence. We need to find a way to help these communities grapple with what they deal with every day. It's once we get involved, somebody's dead or seriously injured. And in many respects, it's just too late. So I hope that we can continue to do our job of protecting you and also find ways to help protect our communities from future violence. Thank you. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning. My name is Vicki Cook Heath. I'm Jarius's aunt. And I can truly say today that God is great and he's greatly to be praised. We prayed, we cried, and we prayed some more. And we got just what we asked for from the Lord, an indictment. So now all we're waiting on is a conviction. And we know God will do that for us as well. I would like to thank Sheriff Chitwood and the Detective McGuire that's been on this case. They've been working diligently. And the detective told me to trust him. And I did exactly that. So on behalf of JR, my brother, Chanel, Jarius's mom, and our entire family, we would like to thank the Sheriff Department for doing a great job. Thank you.
I know he doesn't want to do this, but I want to introduce the detective who was the lead detective in the case. He certainly had tons and tons and tons of help. Yes. But I would like to introduce Detective Sean McGuire. Sean? Yes.
As he said, we still have a lot of work to do. Sheriff's Office, the major case unit as a whole, put a lot of time and effort into this, and State Attorney's Office been there with us. So
Said he didn't want to be here, so we made him get all dressed up. We can answer some questions. Again, it's an active investigation. We are still seeking the people who burned Jarius, who set him on fire. So, you know, we're just proud of where we are now. But the message has to go out there. The only way we're going to stop violence in the community is people come forward. You know, this was a case where not a lot of people came forward, and yet a lot of people knew what happened. And, you know, we have another 17-year-old that was killed not that far from here several weeks ago. And again, not a lot of information coming in from the community to give these families closure. And, you know, I just think that, you know, in all my years of policing, I just can't understand the indifference to human life for what was done to a 20-year-old man over money. It just defies logic that another human being would do this to another human being over money, and not a lot of money at all. So we'll try our best to answer some questions. RJ, you want to come up? Sean?
So can you share the connection that you are aware of with these three who were indicted to our victim, Mr. Cook?
What's the connection between jump step?
well, the connection is they all three live here in Spring Hill, and a few of them in the car were close friends.
In the car?
The vehicle that he was burned up in, that's where he was murdered, in the vehicle. And there's a group of individuals in that vehicle that night. They were all close friends.
So allegedly he's shot and killed in the vehicle on South Delaware, and then the vehicle set on fire, and then they take off?
Yes, ma'am.
And like you said, this isn't a strangers that did this. These are people that he knew and trusted and liked and probably loved.
Did they have information that he had some money or something like that? I mean, how was this set up? Do you know?
Right now, we're just leaving that alone. It's it's still active investigation.
And others involved, y'all. So he's allegedly shot and killed. Do you believe one of the three who was indicted was the actual shooter?
Yeah, we do. Yes, ma'am.
And which one is that? Do you know? Or can you say that?
No, we'll leave some of those details out for right now.
Can you say,
the difficult thing is, you're dealing with a conspiracy here. You're not dealing with one guy walked up and shot somebody in a robbery. This is much bigger than one person. So there's a lot of moving parts here, and we presented the parts to clear up the robbery. We believe we had enough, state attorney to tell you that, to present before a grand jury to say these three individuals were involved in a robbery and a shooting. And now the other half of this investigation is who set him on fire, who burned the car, and who did that to Jarius.
You think they're all different people? There's more suspects out there.
Good, RJ.
Yeah, yeah, good.
It's very possible there are. As Detective McGuire said, it's an ongoing investigation. What we know for sure is that this was a robbery and it turned deadly. Now, whether or not the murder was planned all along or whether or not it happened as a result of the robbery doesn't matter, because in Florida with the felony murder case, you can actually, premeditation is presumed when you're engaged in a forcible felony such as robbery. What we know right now is it was a robbery and then subsequently a murder. Then the car was set on fire. We've arrested the folks that we believe are responsible and charged them for the robbery and the murder. Whether or not they were involved in setting the car on fire or whether or not there's other individuals that did it, those are facts that are still under investigation. Okay?
How'd y'all find them?
Do great police work. Physical evidence, any kind of evidence around. It was a lot of time and energy from the morning that Jarius was found up until they presented before the grand jury. There was outstanding police work in lockstep with the state attorney. I mean, we had a state attorney assigned to us from the minute it was declared a homicide, and that state attorney worked through every bit of evidence that we had to get us before the grand jury.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize Andy Urbanik over here. He worked with the sheriff's office. What we do is we roll out a prosecutor with all the homicides. And if they need search warrants, for whatever reason it might be, for a residence, a vehicle, a phone, whatever, we work with them to prepare those so we can do it in real time. And that's what Andy did to make sure that we were running these folks down. And we did. We were able to charge them. And it's troubling, too, that two of them were already in jail on other charges, attempted murder. And the one individual also had some prior prison commitments for robbery and had been released from prison. So these are young folks, but they're violent folks. And I can't echo enough what the sheriff said. It's almost like these folks have given up on life. They've given up on, it's like a moral resignation that they just don't believe, for whatever reason, that there's any other avenue for them but to pursue violence with guns and to prey upon each other, upon their friends. Yeah. And I can't say how troubling that is, and we just got to find a way to do something about that.
Amen.
Are all three of the suspects in custody now charged with first-degree murder?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
They are.
And you believe, sad but true, that Mr. Cook knew these folks, that these were people who should have been able to trust, and instead they turned on him?
They definitely knew each other. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Jarius did know the people that were in the car with him. Now, what went wrong, we don't know. We don't have those answers, but we are seeking to get those answers. They were friends, and Jarius trusted everybody. He thought everybody was his friend. And that's how that took place.
Did you know them?
I knew them, yes.
And your response when you found out those were the people responsible?
I'm sorry?
And your response when you found out you knew who the people were responsible for his death?
It's sad because they're young and they have their whole life ahead of them. And I hate to see that this is happening to them because I'm a mom. And my heart goes out to them. That we don't have any hatred for them because we are God-fearing people. So my heart goes out to their parents because we know who they are.
It just has to hit you harder than ever, though, to think that these are people who you should have been able to trust, not suspect.
Yes, ma'am, without a doubt. It does hurt, and it was a hard hit for us to take. But some people are just evil people. And for what reason, we don't know. But I do pray for them as well. We are praying for them because we are a praying family, and we're praying for those who are in custody. But we still want a conviction.
Can you tell us a little about Jarius? I know he's a son, a brother,
And a father. He's a father. His son is just turned 3. His birthday 4. He turned 4. His party will be tomorrow. He's having a birthday party tomorrow. And he still misses his dad. He asks for his dad constantly because he and his dad had a bond. So Jarius is not here for that anymore. And that hurts us that this little boy has to grow up without his dad. So those people didn't think about that when they took Jarius' life.
Thank you.
This is his son right here, J.C. On.
Happy early birthday, sweetie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
You guys got anything else? Thank you very much. Andrew put that out, didn't you?
There's a list right there on your podium.
What do you want to do? It's Zachariah Sanders, 23 years old, born in 1997. Fredryonna Grimes, 18, born in 2002. And Cameron Lane, 17, born in 2003. But to get to what RJ said earlier, the two that were picked up on the attempted murder and robbery charges was pretty violent in and of itself. And sadly, you have an 18-year-old and a 17-year-old that show, I guess the legal term is the depraved indifference to human life. That human life is cheap.
Yeah, these folks, after the homicide of Jarius, they went out and committed, or we are prosecuting them for attempted murder. And this occurred after the homicide of Jarius, which kind of shows, in my humble opinion, the level of violence that these folks are capable of. It's by the grace of God that we didn't have at least one, if not two more victims before we were able to get them into custody. And so young.
Which case is that second case, Mr. Larizza?
It's pending here in DeLand. It was the DeLand Police Department that worked it, and it's Grimes and Lane. Grimes and Lane are the defendants there.
18 and 17-year-old. Yeah, they're
In Volusia County.
Yes, Volusia County. It happened in the jurisdiction of the DeLand Police Department.
but they live in this area.
And all three are in our Volusia County jail.
All three.
Is the 17-year-old juvenile facility or the branch?
Been charged as an adult.
He's in big boy jail, big boy custody.
It would not be appropriate to charge him as a juvenile based on the facts and circumstances. Just not appropriate at all.
Jarius Cook's mom.
We're asking for help because of this situation. This is Jarius' son. A lot of people that don't know and that do know, it's not fair to him because he has to grow to not know his father. We just ask for help. If anybody know anything, please, because if this was your situation, you would want the same. And people don't ever think about these type of situations until it hits close to home. And I wouldn't put this on anybody or wish this on anybody. It's been very hard for our families, and it's gonna get harder because he has to grow to know that his father's not here. His father's not gonna be here. Again, we just ask for help. And you know, those out there that know, and you think about yourself and your kids, and you wouldn't want this situation, you wouldn't want to go through this situation the same way we're going through it. And the fact people are walking around and they know and have involvement in this matter, and let me tell you this.